أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. We continue with our discussion on Hidayah, guidance. Okay. The first was universal guidance, okay, as we have mentioned it earlier. Okay. That everything that has been created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been given a code, okay, to live by, a code to exist, a code to survive and sustain. Okay. Many things that we consider to be non-living, okay, metals, minerals, they also have a code. Okay. There are electrons, there are protons, whatever they are. Any system in existence has a code to survive, and that is called universal guidance. Okay. We use the word universal guidance, a guidance that is for everyone. As I mentioned this verse from Surah Taha, that Prophet Musa ala nabiyana alayhi salam is speaking to Pharaoh, said, Rabbana alladhi ata kulla shay'in khalqahu thumma hada. Okay. Our Lord is the one who has created everything and then has guided. Okay. For every creation, there's guidance. That's one. Okay. As we move to higher forms of life, okay, for example, animal kingdom, okay, there's also guidance in addition to this universal guidance. Okay. There's a social guidance also there. Okay. For lions, there's a pride, okay, isn't it? Okay. For other animals, okay, there are groups. Okay. For blackbirds, they've observed few things. Okay. And it was recently that they came to understand that if a blackbird commits a crime according to them, other blackbirds, there is a jury and there's punishment. Yes. Okay. And the punishment at times is that all blackbirds found on him is snatching the feathers away so that he is unable to fly. This was hitherto unknown. Only recently people have come to this. So, for every being that is in existence, okay, there's a code that's built in. Okay. Who guides the blackbird to do that? Who guides the honeybee to follow the queen? Okay. There's a built-in code. Okay. Honeybee are in millions, isn't it? And that queen is only one. And those millions follow that one queen. Does she have an army? This obedience is complete. There's no challenge to that. We are in the infancy of knowledge. Okay. We don't know. Okay. How the Creator has put in every creation a system of life, of existence, and of law and order also. Many times when we talk about law and order, we are talking about human beings. Okay. there is a system of law and order in every creation. Snakes have been studied, and there's a whole system there also. Okay? Reptiles have been studied, okay? And many, the system does exist. Okay? They are trying to decipher the language of crocodiles. Only recently they have. But Quran mentions the language of Namal, isn't it? Okay. When Prophet Sulaiman Nabiyana alayhi salam is coming with the army, one of the Namal, okay, tells her fellow, get in your dens. Okay. Sulaiman will trample you. Quran has quoted the words. What language that is, I don't know. Okay. Marvel at the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. And the extent, okay, of the needful things that He has provided for everyone. Yes, there is a language. And that is heard by the Prophet. Okay. Just imagine, okay. I many times say that if you are in a Yankee stadium, for example, okay, or any other stadium, thousands of people, if someone speaks something, would you be able to hear it? No. Okay. There is one sound, and the Prophet is far away, because the army has not approached yet to trample them. And the Prophet is able to hear it. Okay. The language is there, the words are there, and the warning is clear. Okay. So that is, Assalamu alaikum. That is there, you know. We fail to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided for everything in existence. Okay. Whatever is needed. Okay. That is the guidance, universal guidance. Okay. For the human beings, there's prophetic guidance. The guidance through evolution, the guidance through the messengers, the guidance through the books, and we mentioned a few verses last time, okay, Quran regarding this. This guidance is based on one concept, and that is Tawheed. Tawheed, monotheism, imposes a single ethical standard on all humanity. No distinction. Universal brotherhood. Okay. Respect and regard for all people, regardless of race, color, class, creed, culture, language, geography, country, whatever divisions you try to create, Tawheed knocks them down, all of them, by claiming that your badge of honor is nothing but being the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it. That message is an exalted message. Okay? That is not the product of human mind. Okay? It's the reflection of divine grace. It comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone and no one else. When we say that the Prophet has ordained us to acquire knowledge, okay, an acquisition of it, an obligation for everyone. Okay. He wants us to reach to this universal truth, a knowledge that does not lead to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a failure in size, shape, and scope. What you have is a collection of information. Real knowledge leads you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So prophetic guidance is tailored at this, okay, to make sure that you have your journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You already have the universal guidance, namely how to exist as a human being. Okay? Eat, drink, propagate the race, and whatever. Okay? You feel hungry because of the guidance. Because if you don't feel hungry, you won't eat. And if you won't eat, you won't get nutrition. And if you don't get nutrition, you cannot survive. It's a chain. Okay? That guidance is there. Okay? But how to lead a life of social order is something different. Okay? Prophetic guidance then, okay, through that knowledge of Tawheed, okay, the obligation to acquire it from cradle to grave, as he said, okay, frees the human mind from ignorance, from bigotry, from prejudice, from hate, from hatred, animosity, enmity, whatever you call it. Okay? It frees the human mind. Once the human mind is able to digest the divine revelation, okay, all these things become secondary and then tertiary and then out. There's a stages, you know. When the Prophet started teaching in Mecca for the first time, or for that matter any other prophets before him, okay, people who accepted the faith did not become overnight the most pious people. Slowly and steadily, okay, the changes came. Okay, to some faster, to some slower. Okay. By making our deeds qurbatan ilallah, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, we acknowledge that what we do is for the sake of divine acceptance. Okay. And that divine acceptance, okay, is the sole purpose of anything good. Okay. That's it. जिस चीज़ में कुर्बतन अल्लाह नहीं है, ठीक है, उसको हैसियत नहीं है. वो अच्छा काम जिसमें नियत ये नहीं है कि अल्लाह की खुशनुदी के लिए है, उसकी हैसियत क्या है? ठीक है, जो वो है. Doesn't mean more than that. That you will get some benefits out of it. Allah is the most merciful. Okay. Yes, you may. Those benefits may be in this world, in terms of name and fame, riches, regard and respect by others, and so on and so forth. Okay? But whether that is going to lead you to divine acceptance is something entirely different. Okay? And I think that's not tailored to this concept of qurbatan ilallah, for the sake of divine acceptance. Okay? Fails at the end. Okay? Tawheed, through the prophetic guidance, tells us that there should be justice in our lives. Al-adl. That's why we so much emphasize on adl. Okay? If there was one word that could describe and the underpinning of Tawheed and the Islamic teachings, its ideals, its ideology, its beauty, its excellence, its laws, its commandments, its light and its clarity, its knowledge and its wisdom, its ethics and its morality. It is Adl. There's one word that will describe all that. Okay. It's Al-Adl. Okay. In reality, one of the most paramount aspects of guidance, of Hidayah, is to establish a human society based on justice. Okay. Quran is clear about that. In Surah Hadid, Quran says, "Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan." Hadid is 57th Surah of Quran. The same surah, the verse 25, 57th Surah, verse 25. لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانَ لِيَقُومَ النَّاسَ بِالْقِسْطِ. We send over time our messages with clear signs, بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. Okay. وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ. And we send down with them the book, wal mizan, and the balance. Okay. لِيَكُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْقِسْطِ. Okay. So that man may stand forth in justice. Al mizan is the balance, where you weigh things. Okay. And qist is the justice. Okay. In the earlier ayah, "Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan," was in Surah Nahl, 16th Surah of Quran, verse number 90. And surely Allah commands you the doing of justice and of good. Okay. Al adl wal ihsan. Ihsan is a superior degree than adl. Adl is to give what's due, and ihsan is to do more. Okay. Then that's due. Minimum requirement is adl. Okay. But a higher standard is ihsan. And that's the greatness of our Prophet ﷺ, okay? That he was not only dispensing justice, he was doing ihsan. Okay. Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan. Of course, وَيَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنكَرِ يَعِظُكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ. Many times, human beings, when they are in difference with someone, when they have animosity against someone, okay, they don't dispense justice. What comes out is hate and hatred. Okay. Quran says in Surah Ma'idah, 5th Surah of Quran, verse number 8. Allah. وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنَ قَوْمٍ عَلَىٰ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا اعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَىٰ. Okay. Let not the hatred of others incite you not to act equitably. Depart away from justice. Be just, and that's closest to piety. اعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَىٰ. Similarly, in Surah Nisa, the 4th Surah of Quran, verse number 58, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تُؤْدُوا الْأَمَانَاتِ إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهَا وَإِذَا حَكَمْتُمْ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ أَن تَحْكُمُوا بِالْعَدْلِ. Allah commands you to render back trust to their owners, and when you judge between men, judge with justice. Okay. that justice should always be there. Okay? And one who does not stand for justice, okay, loses the proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if he was a believer. Giving everyone their due share, giving those who deserve their rights is justice. But many times, all over the world, we see this. Okay. Under normal conditions, maybe people are just, okay. But in terms of differences, in terms of opinions of others, in terms of animosity, okay, in terms of trying situations, taxing situations, justice becomes difficult. But you have so many people influencing you, okay, emotions influencing you, ideologies influencing you, okay, powers influencing you, okay, relationships influencing you, okay, politics, whatever, you know. Okay. And particularly so when you are facing an adversary. Okay. Islam and the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dictates that you cannot be unjust even to your enemies. Okay. That prophetic guidance, okay, tells us clearly, okay, that you cannot be unjust to anyone. Okay. Many times in the Prophet's company came situations. For example, once a woman who had stolen, okay, and the charge was proved, okay, the hand should be cut. That's the law. Okay. And so the companions came forward and said, Ya Rasulullah, she is the daughter of a powerful tribal lord. Let her go. And the Prophet refused. Law is law. Justice is justice. Okay. But many times, the raw emotions, you know, underlying animosity, okay, the uncivilized response is to treat enemy as less than human. That's what you see in the world today. Keep on bombing, keep on invading, keep on killing. Okay. Less than human beings, yeah. They don't deserve justice. They don't have any rights. No fairness, no equality. Exactly this is what was in the pre-Islamic Arabia, rather all over the world at that time. Jahiliyyah, ignorance. Not only with our Prophet, ﷺ, but with all other prophets before him also. The situation was similar. That human beings are not willing to accept. Okay. What was the divine law? Okay. Because one, of course, their attempt to ascertain themselves, to have power themselves, to have the resources for themselves. When a person thinks, and he has been given the power to think by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he is the center of universe, that things belong to, whether it's in the family, in the community, in the nation, around the world, doesn't make a difference. Once the person comes to think that he is the center and everyone must remain tuned to that, his being centered, he is never going to be guided. Okay? The center is not this person. The center is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by his direction, the Prophet and his Ahl Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam, as far as we are concerned. जहाँ भी खानदान हो, इदारे हो, ठीक है, आपकी कौम हो, पूरी मिल्लत हो, पूरी आलम इस्लाम हो, अगर किसी एक इंसान के जहन में ये बात पैदा हो जाए कि वो मरकज़ है और बाकी सबको, मरकज़, इंसानी मरकज़ सिर्फ मासूम हो सकता है, गैर मासूम नहीं हो सकता। इस बात को याद, इसलिए कि मासूम अल्लाह की निगाह से देखता है, अल्लाह की ज़बान से बात करता है, ठीक है, और अल्लाह की फ़िक्र को आगे पहुंचाता है। सिर्फ वही है जो मरकज़ बन सकता है, ठीक है? किसी को हैसियत नहीं है। Only those selected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be the center. And who are they? They are the prophets, they are the imams chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because they are masoom. Okay? Masoom is a person, who serves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the capacity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put him into. Completely, totally, without any failure, without any if and but. Okay? His actions are the actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. O Prophet, you did not throw the stones, I threw it. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The deeds of Masoom are the deeds of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So of course, when they are his deeds, there cannot be any notion of being unfair, unjust, untrue. Okay? And no enmity of others, okay, would be affecting their judgments. No, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, animosity of others cannot be used as an excuse for committing injustice upon them. No. Okay. So the prophetic guidance is through the Prophet. Okay? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made sure, okay, that the prophets warn humanity. Okay. Quran says in Surah An'am, 6th Surah, verse number 92, وَهَذَا كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ مُصَدِّقًا الَّذِي بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ وَلِتُنذِرَ أُمَّ الْقُرَى وَمَنْ حَوْلَهَا. Talk about Quran. وَهَذَا كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ. This is the book that we have revealed. مُصَدِّقًا الَّذِي بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. And this is the one that testifies to the books that are with them, which is Torah and Injil. لِتُنذِرَ أُمَّ الْقُرَى. So that you warn. Okay. al-Qura is Mecca. Okay. Is mother, and Qura is the plural of Qarya. Okay. And Qarya is, town. Okay. So al-Qura. وَمَنْ حَوْلَهَا, and those around. Okay. The Prophet's first message was towards people of Mecca and around. وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ. And those who believe in the hereafter would accept it. Okay. Of course, around were also people of book. They were not only mushrikeen, people of book also there. Okay. And Quran has at times referred to some of these people who are people of book as believers. Okay. Qawm Musa, Quran says. Okay. They are there. Okay. Whether they would accept or not, besides the point. Okay. Yeah. Similar verse appears in Surah Shura, 42nd Surah of Quran, verse number 7. وَكَذَلِكَ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا لِتُنذِرَ أُمَّ الْقُرَى. لِتُنذِرَ, to warn. Okay? وَمِنْ حَوْلِ, and those around. So Surah is the 42nd Surah of Quran, verse number 7. In Surah Anam, 6th Surah of Quran, verse number 19. وَأُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنُ لِأُنذِرَكُمْ بِهِ. And we have revealed to you this Quran so that you would warn them with it. In Surah Baqarah, the 2nd Surah of Quran, this is a famous verse that you are many times memorize it. سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. You warn them or not, they are not going to accept it. Verse number 6. Same verse appears in Surah Yasin, 36th Surah of Quran, verse number 10. And also verse number 5 and 6. Yasin, Surah Yasin. تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوم ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون. Verse number 5 and 6 of Surah Yasin. Surah Shu'ara, 26th Surah of Quran, verse number 214. وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. Warn your closest relatives. Dhul Ashira, as you know. And this is not only for our prophet, for other prophets also before him, the same thing. For example, Quran talks about Saleh, one of the prophets, and his community. Surah Shura, verse number 142, 143, and 144. إذ قال أخوهم صالح ألا تتقوا إني لكم رسول أمين فاتقوا الله وأطيعون. These three verses. Okay. Their answer, of course, is always verse 154, and this is the common answer that's almost everywhere against the prophets. Ma anta illa basharun mithluna. You are not but like a human being like us. Okay. In Surah Shura, it's 154. In other surahs also it's present. And the same Surah Shura, okay, Shuaib also talks about, and the answer to him is the same. Okay. Surah Shura talks about many prophets, okay, and they are preaching, and the answer that the community gives. Okay. But this thread is common. There are two things that are common. One, okay, you are like us. Basharun mithluna. That's one. And the second, you want to take us away from what our forefathers did. It's common throughout. Okay. The third category is of those people who accept under certain conditions. Okay. And when they get the book, the revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, of course, revelation has muhkamat and mutashabihat. Okay. They go for mutashabihat. And Quran refers it to in Surah Al-Imran, the 3rd Surah of Quran, verse number 7. هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب منه آيات محكمات هن أم الكتاب وآخر متشابهات. The center of the book is those who are muhkam, clear verses in which there is no ambiguity, no doubt, nothing. It's completely as it is. A level of certitude that's there. Okay. And آخر متشابهات. There are some which are ambiguous. Okay. فأما الذين في قلوبهم زيغ ويتبعون ما تشابه منه. And those whose hearts, okay, are crooked. I'm translating zag as crooked, for lack of a better word. Our hearts are crooked. فَيَتَّبِعُونَ مَا تَشَابَهُ مِنْهُ ابْتِغَاءَ الْفِتْنَةِ وَابْتِغَاءَ تَأْوِيلِهِ. To create fitna, whatever and to get to interpretation which are not meant. Why? وَمَا يَعْلَمُ تَأْوِيلَهُ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ. Their exact interpretation is known only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and those who are completely certain of their knowledge. Okay. These are the guys who would create fitna because their hearts are crooked. Okay. Even though they know that the ta'wil, the real interpretation, is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and those who are selected, okay, because of the knowledge that they have. Ar-rasikhuna fil ilm. They are sure. Rasikh is utmost sure, and that surety comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surah Al-Imran, the third surah of Quran, verse number 7. When a prophet reveals a message, okay, and there are those who accept the faith fully, minority of them, of course, initially, and those who accept the faith when they see that there is no way out, for example. Okay. It became very clear now. Our Prophet. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ Afwaja, isn't it? By armies, they accepted the faith. يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. Okay. Would they sustain themselves? We don't know. 3 things for sustenance of these guys. Number 1, okay, regarding the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His Prophet to be absolute. A person who wants to accept the faith must acknowledge the absoluteness of divine message. That's number 1. Okay. Once you accept the faith, there's no going back. Okay. Absoluteness of divine message. Second, the acknowledgement that the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only conduit to the divine message. Okay. That the Prophet is the one who is the conduit to divine message. That's why we say Kitab Allah wa Sunnat Rasulullah. Okay. And the third, okay, to live by justice. Whether the life is at home or outside, with family or friends. Okay. With those that you love and with those that you hate. Justice should prevail. Okay. A person who is not able to do justice, okay, is in for a disaster. Disasters can be that you fail to reach optimally what is possible. Okay. Suppose you are able and you have the potential to reach up to 10th level and you reach only at 2. It's a disaster. Even though 2 is 2, okay, but it's a disaster. Okay. Quran reminds us, okay, and some traditions also, okay, that when people would go into paradise, okay, they will praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then they will lament that why we spent some time doing this irrelevant immaterial things and not remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are there to act on, and one who defaults for himself. We mentioned last week, okay, that one who is guided for himself, and one who refuses for himself. Okay. Allah gives you, through all His prophets, a guidance for society, for humanity. The 10 commandments that you talk about, okay, so much. Those commandments are there in Quran as well. Okay. For example, in Surah An'am, verse 151 through 153. These are mentioned. Okay. And more than the 10 commandments, things extra also and well defined also. So, a person who refuses these 3 things, which is absoluteness of divine message, okay, that the Prophet is the conduit to divine message, and that he has to act with justice. Okay. He is up for disaster if he doesn't agree to that. And if he agrees partially, then the disaster is partial. Okay. But for Tawheed, there is no partial. For the prophethood, there is no partial. Sometimes in justice, okay, there could be, and you will be punished for those things that you did that were unjust. Okay. But if your first and second was paramount, okay, you may have a way out. Okay. But first and second has to be paramount. Okay. So, inshallah, a person, if he takes some time out and ponders on his life, whatever his age is, he ponders that I am, for example, myself 74 years old, okay, what I have done. Okay. Is it just? Am I being just to my family, my children, just to my friends around, just to the mosque, for example, or anyone, okay, and just to those who disagree with me? So prophetic guidance then, to summarize for today, is threefold. One is the belief in absoluteness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, that's it. Okay, that's the basis. The second, in our case, the finality of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, okay, as the conduit to divine message. And third, the establishment of justice in our lives and around. Okay. Any questions? Inshallah, we'll continue next week with something further. Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.